Thank you all very, very much. Good evening, UNC family. Hey, it's a great evening. Good evening, UNC family. Let me recognize our two chairs tonight, Neil Gosain and Tako Bika. The several MPs and senators who spoke before me, Senator Naked, Senator Jayanti Lashmidiyal, Senator Anna Roberts, Senator Wade Mark, and MP, oh yes, Saddam Stipp is an MP. He's not a senator. I was just getting to the MPs. But thanks for the reminder. MP Barry Padarat and MP Saddam. Give them a round of applause. Thanks for their contributions, very serious and very important contributions tonight as we keep you with this virtual report updated on the events taking place in our country. And to all the other activists who are here, all of you officials and activists, thank you very much for coming. And I just saw Anita arrive. She's also coming from Parliament. I came down from Parliament. I think Barry came down from Parliament. So we had a very interesting session today. But before I get into the pure politics, give me a few moments to speak with you about self-respect. Because first we have to respect ourselves, and then we can respect others, and therefore we respect each other. So I share some words with you, and then we'll get into some of the raw politics. I want to speak to you about mental fortitude and encourage you all to live your life and not just to exist and to conform. Last week I told you that many people are fed up with the toxicity of selective fake outrage, cancer culture, virtue signaling, and those who deal with the woke culture. Self-deception and arrogance about factual realities and truths are being forced on us by the fake outrage mob. Factual truths are being replaced by feelings, opinions, and perceptions. A society built on law cannot change the truth to align with any particular person's opinions and perceptions in order to avoid hurting feelings. This fake outrage and cancel culture, this kind of doctrine that is being pushed onto the population, is a very dangerous trend for democracy, for freedom, to criticize authority, and to have overall healthy national discourse. We are being bullied and forced to cede our freedom to discuss controversial or difficult ideas and arguments. And again, this is because of the outrage culture, the fake outrage culture. Those who purvey fake outrage culture, they adopt fake moralistic positions on difficult, complex issues to do what? To shame and bully citizens so that they will conform to their opinions, their perceptions, and feelings of the outrage mob. This act of cowardice and supplication soothes the indignant outrage mob. But you know what happens? At the same time, it damages the mental state and the psyche of people who have been shamed and bullied into conforming to something that they do not agree with. When a person conforms to the outrage mob and engages in self-deception and cowardice, that person becomes resentful, and that heads to bitterness. Then this bitterness in turn leads to hate, and then leads to a person becoming vengeful because they are constantly walked over and they feel miserable. These people may suffer from depression, from anxiety, from sadness, suicidal thoughts, because why? They are unhappy. They are angry at themselves for making choices against what they really believe. And therefore I say to you, self-betrayal to please the outrage culture mob and to fit in will destroy you. Understand that your life has meaning. Your life has meaning, and it's up to you to make your individual choices and not be bullied to conforming. You are put on this earth to live, not just to exist. There's a local saying that some people are just living to dead. Some people are just living to dead. I ask you, don't be like that. Live, find your purpose, and follow your dreams. Standing up for yourself doesn't mean that you should go looking for fights. However, people who want to bully and shame you must understand that you respect yourself and you have the ability to fight. You know, for too long, many of the people of our country have lost that ability to fight. It comes from the colonial days, it came down into the indentureship days, and now it comes down to the PNM days, where the only thing that is right in this country for some is what the PNM says or does not say. But you have a right. You are an equal citizen where every creed and every race find an equal place in Trinidad and Tobago. Weak people exercise cowardice, or they create havoc. You must always be good and do good, but the outraged mob must know you are dangerous. And I say this not to tell you to go out there and create a riot, but you are dangerous in that you will stand up and you will fight for what you believe in, and you will fight to believe in yourself. So, yes, Gail, I will talk. I will talk. Because we have to we have to relearn how to live and stand up. Too long we back down and we are too quiet. We don't stand up for ourselves. We don't stand up for what we believe in. And so you must know that people must know you will not lie down and let them walk all over you. We let the PNM know that. And we will let the PNM apologists, so many of them with their fake outrage, that whenever they give an opinion on the PNM, they always have to turn back and do what? Give an opinion on the UNC. When we were in government, blame the UNC, but they will never speak of the PNM. When the PNM is in government and so much is going wrong, they say, well, yes, the PNM bad. PNM incompetent, PNM corrupt. But you know what? The UNC is the same. It's that fake outrage, it's that balancing, it's that cancelling out, but we will not be cancelled out. We will stand up and we will fight. We will stand up and we will fight. Always try to speak the truth. Don't betray yourself to fit in, because you will become very miserable. The fake outrage mob are possessed by this anger, and you are wasting your life trying to appease them. Respect yourself. Exercise sound judgment. Maintain constant spiritual development, and reject entitlement by earning your keep. Sons and daughters of the UNC, remember, whenever you feel alone, whenever you feel at your lowest, when you feel no one loves you, whenever you feel that you can't go on, know that I love you very, very much. I know that God loves you. Don't bother with those who mock you, those who ridicule you. Whatever religion you may be, whatever race or whatever creed, what you must do is pray and seek God, and you will find your way. I always tell you, I've said it for time and time again, put God in front and walk behind. The Bible tells us, Psalm 27, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? And if I say to you, be afraid of no one. It ends with that psalm. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thy heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Put God in front, and let us walk behind. So stay strong. Remember these words, and do not despair. Sometimes, as humans, it happens. We do despair, but we put God in front. We walk behind, and we pray. But the good Lord helps those who help themselves. So those sit down and just stay home all day and all night and pray. Yes, pray. Keep your spiritual development. In this job and in the politics and in the hard times we are in, it is very important to keep that spirituality. You know, once someone asked me, how do you could stay in this job? Because there are many days it's discouraging, I must say. How you could stay? And you must have a strong sense of spirituality in order to continue to do what you do. So I urge you in that regard, let us stay strong together. Give up all those mockeries and, as I say, fake culture and all of that is happening. You pick up the papers, this weekend, for example, Kirk pointed it out to me. You pick up the papers, you have all these columnists who are like stooges in the paper. They're stooges of a stooge. Because those in their paper, that's the stooge of the PNM. And that's the boss. And the boss then tells the journalists. The journalist then becomes the stooge. I saw one journalist who writes every week in the paper. And I want to ask him, always writing and pontificating and preaching. And has he ever come to Lavanti? Has he ever come to Barrackpore? Has he ever come anywhere except in the West where he pontificates and he lives and he writes this thing every week in the paper? And he talks about going to the Panya. David Nackett talks about they go in the Panya and they clink glass. And they think that is helping you and the people of this land. Tell me what you have done for any person in Trinidad and Tobago, except writing in these papers. Writing and pure cancer culture, pure stooges of stooges. That's what they are. But let's leave them alone, because we have more important matters to deal with tonight. Very important matters to deal with. And I want to be clear that the AG of our country, the new AG, Reginald Amon, has committed a crime or not committed a crime. The crime of perjury. In so doing, has he brought his office into disrepute? There may be even grounds for imprisonment. Imprisonment, because you see, perjury is a crime. In the United States, it is known as a felony. It is a crime punishable by imprisonment and or fines. Look at what we did today in the parliament. You'll be proud of the UNC in the parliament today. MP Saddam mentioned the many questions we asked about this AG Amo and his conduct, and the nonsense replies that they gave to us. We grilled them for quite a while. And you know, on top of all, as this shameless eater food man, Reginald Amo, sit down in the parliament grinning. And then after I spoke, he get up to talk. Shameless. Well, shameless. Who tell him to do that? We refused to sit and listen to him, and the entire UNC bench walked out of parliament. Walked out. And when he was finished, we went back to conduct the business of the people. And because, as I say, we must not be afraid. We must stand up and fight, because this Attorney General has committed serious offenses. We say that he must step down now, and if he doesn't do, Rowley must fire him now. But Rowley hiding somewhere up in California. To avoid, he's hiding, to avoid all the major issues taking place. The issues with the unions, Waymark. The issues with the rising crime. And this whole scandalous, I can't even find a repulsive behavior on the part of the Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago. You know, I want to say something, you know. There's a little joke I used to give. Some of you may have heard it, but I'll change it up a little bit, and the names will be changed to protect the innocent. In this case, they're not innocent. So there was an Attorney General of a state, of a country, and the Attorney General and the candidates for a particular party, they campaigned. And in the campaign, they'll go on the platform and say, we are going to fight crime. Those who do the crime will do the time. Our job is to stamp out corruption and stamp out crime, and on, campaign. And that particular party won the election. They got it into government. And then the Attorney General goes to the Prime Minister and says, I am calling no names. I'm not like Barry with the fowl and the corn and so on. I know names. The AG goes to the Prime Minister and says, Prime Minister, I want to go to Switzerland, but I have to ask one favor of you. Okay, well, what it is? The AG says, Prime Minister, we promise we'll stamp out the corruption. We'll stamp out the crime. But I have to go, and you have to do a favor for me. Okay, he pleads and begs. The Prime Minister says what? Okay, what is it? What do you want? He said, I want a gun to take with me to Switzerland. Prime Minister thought about it, and he said, okay, fine, you go. because we promised the people to stamp out the corruption, stamp out the crime. So he goes up to Switzerland, and he goes to one of the Swiss banks in Geneva. And he goes up to the bank, goes inside the bank, and he tells the lower level deck, the first floor, he says, listen, I am the Attorney General of X place. My promise and I promised to stamp out corruption and to stamp out crime. And therefore, I'm now asking you to tell me all the citizens of our country who have a bank account in your bank here in Geneva, in Switzerland. Over and over, he's pleading and making his case. And that low-level functionary says, listen, sir, we don't do that. These bank accounts in the Swiss banks, they are secret. We can't give out that information. So he says then, the AG, well, look, take me up to your supervisor. And he goes up to the supervisor and he makes the same story. My Prime Minister and I promised the people stamp out corruption, stamp out the crime, and therefore I am asking you to share with me all the persons from our country who have a bank account here in your Swiss bank. Again, the supervisor says, sorry, sir, we can't do that, we cannot do that, that's against our secrecy rules and so on. He said, look, take me upstairs, take me up to the top floor. Let me go to the boss of the bank, the president of this bank. And he goes up and he starts the same story. My Prime Minister and I promised to stamp out corruption, stamp out the crime and so on. I'm asking you to share with me the names of all the citizens of my country who have a bank account here, a secret bank account. He does that several times, and the president keeps saying, sorry, sir, that is not our policy. We cannot share this information with you. At that point, he jumps up. He pulls the gun out of whichever bag he had it in. Remember, he wanted a gun? He pulls the gun out, and he puts the gun by the head of the president. And he says, sir, I am the Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago. My Prime Minister and I, wasn't Trinidad and Tobago, I'm sorry. I'm not naming any names. I withdraw that statement. I am the Attorney General of my country. Agreed? My country. And my Prime Minister and I promised that we will do this and that and that. So if you don't give me the names of the people from my country who have secret bank accounts here, I'm going to blow your brains out. Anil, you're frightened? Going to blow your brains out. And the president looks at him. He does it again. I am the Attorney General of my country. I promised, and my Prime Minister promised to stamp out corruption. Tell me, all the people of my country who have a secret bank account in your bank here in Geneva. Gun at the man's head. He looks at this man, the other man, the AG. He says, sorry, sir, we cannot give you that information. It is our policy for privacy of these bank accounts. That's why we are so famous in the world for private Swiss bank accounts. The Attorney General looks at him. He takes a gun, puts it down on the table, and he says to the president of the bank, thank you, sir. I am now ready to open a bank account in your bank. I share this with you. I share this with you. I share this with you because given the conduct of the present Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago, there are serious questions to be answered. I am not saying that he's opening any bank account anywhere. I'm not saying he went with a gun anywhere. But I think his behavior is more reprehensible and more repulsive for the democracy and the justice system of Trinidad and Tobago. It would be a further slide if it is that he could escape unscathed after what he has done. The manner in which he has flagrantly lied and has attempted to justify his behavior shows the lowest levels a government will sink to defend themselves in the face of blatant law-breaking and criminality. I want to explain to Mr. Amo why he needs to leave now. He has described himself as just a note-taker, as others have told you, and I hope that he will take notes tonight about what we have to say. Because in the early 2000s, Mr. Amo was hired to represent Brian Quaitong and his partner in criminal proceedings at the Magistrates Court. He made extensive submissions, that is AG Amo, then Senior Counsel Amo, in writing and orally to the court. He even cross-examined witnesses in that Magistrates Court. The government then brought proceedings against Quaitong and others in Miami relating to the same matter arising out of Piarco Airport. When Mr. Amo became AG recently, he then became the main representative of the state in this matter in Miami. So we understand, in the previous proceedings from 2004, Mr. Reginald Amo, senior counsel, was the lawyer for Quaitong and others. Okay? He becomes AG, and now he becomes a prosecutor of the same people that he was defense lawyer for. And then, in this same matter, he went up to Miami, as I say, and we see what is known as a blatant conflict of interest. Now, that is bad enough, but we'll come to some more in a minute. Then in the Miami court recently, this year, the defendants in that case, Quaitong and others, they filed a motion to disqualify Amo in the Miami matter because of that conflict of interest, because it's a basic principle of the rule of law. You cannot today be the lawyer for a defendant, and then tomorrow you become the prosecutor against that defendant. Because why? You would have privileged information. Having been the defense lawyer, you would have knowledge of certain things to be used in the defense, so you would have advanced knowledge of things you should not have. And the law is very clear in every jurisdiction in the world, every country in the world. It is a basic tenet of the rule of law. You cannot today be on this side, and tomorrow you jump ship. I know we have a few people like that. A few people like that. One day they're on this left side party, next day they jump. But as a lawyer, as part of your oath and your, the ethics of the profession, as part of the law, that should not and cannot happen. Now that's bad enough. So when the persons in the Miami case now, having been Amo with their defense lawyer, when they found out, and he didn't disclose it to them, which his lawyers had a right to disclose to all parties, all he did was to file a piece of paper in a Miami court to say that instead of Faris Alwari, he was now the Attorney General, in whose name the Miami proceedings are to proceed and being brought in to proceed. So as I said, the guys filed a motion to disqualify Reginald Amo, and not just Reginald Amo, to disqualify the lawyers who had been in the case for a long, long time, Sequel Law. You'll hear about them more. Reginald Amo, AG of Trinidad and Tobago, he then went and made a declaration in an affidavit with the specific words in the affidavit that everything in this affidavit is true and correct under penalty of perjury. He put that in the affidavit. Everything here I'm saying is true and correct under penalty of perjury. What does under penalty of perjury mean? It means that if you lie, you'll be found guilty of a felony in the United States. That's what it means, under penalty of perjury. And then what did he do in that same declaration that he filed in the Miami court? He lied. He lied. So one issue, his defense, well, look, I've appealed the matter. You're not going to get away with that, Mr. Amo. The appeal could go left side, right side, any side. Your side or no side. That is not the main issue in this matter. It is an important issue. But the appeal could go either way on the substantive law, but it does not take away from the fact that you lied on oath in a Miami court. I want you to get that point very, very clear. So he's hiding behind this thing where the matter is appeal, and he take an oath of silence. I am taking no oath of silence, Mr. Amo, and I'll expose you and call you out tonight. He lied first. Lie one. He said he was a junior lawyer in the matter. A junior lawyer in the matter. I hear Gianti says, Senator said, first time a senior lawyer pretending to be a junior lawyer is usually the opposite. In that declaration that he made, as I said, on the penalty of perjury, on the penalties for perjury, he said he was just a junior lawyer. You hear lie? That is lie. The legal team represented Kwaitong and his partner in the Magistrates Court way back when, and was from 2004 for several years, almost 5 years, in our Magistrates Court, on the same fact situation, as they call it, the same factual matrix of the Piaco matter. He was listed as senior counsel, together with Mr. Alan Alexander, who was a great lawyer who's passed away now, senior counsel. And there was a third lawyer, Reggie, jog your memory, or go and look at the proceedings. There was a third lawyer, his name was Ian Brooks. The junior lawyer on the team was Ian Brooks, not Reginald Amo. So he lied. At the time, he was Amo, his senior counsel. That's lie one. Lie two. On penalty of perjury in his statement in the Miami court, he said he was a note taker. He's telling Trinidad and Tobago through his statement in Miami court as a junior lawyer, all he did was minimal legal research and he was a note taker. But the records will show in all those proceedings in the Magistrates Court from 2004 down for almost 4 or 5 years, he actively participated in the court matter, actively participated. He made written legal submissions in the case. Not were you just a note taker. He made written legal submissions for his clients, Kwaitong and partner. And when he signed it, he put SC. He was so proud. He put SC. He didn't just put Reginald Amo. He put Reginald Amo SC. And who signed it? Only Reginald Amo SC signed the written legal submissions in the Magistrates Court here those years ago. Several times he went into that courthouse and he verbally advocated on behalf of Kwaitong and partner. Verbally, what does that mean? Actually stand up in the court and talk. Actively done it and, as I said, cross-examined witnesses, and you say all you did was take notes, man? You hear lie? That is lie. In all my life, I have never seen anybody hire a senior counsel to take notes. But he would have you believe he was just a note taker. I come now to lie 3. In the present matter, so we have his lies relating to his participation in the magistrates' matters. We now have his lies in the present matter on that same statement he made on penalty of perjury. He said he walled himself off from the matter. He recused himself from the case. You hear lie? That is lie. Let us look at his participation since he was appointed AG, his participation in this matter. He said he was provided with a status report on the matter, which involved, as I say, his former client. He was given a status report. What recusal is that if you're given a status report? Let's move on. He said he was involved in logistics for the trial. What kind of recusal is that you're involved in logistics, whatever that means? He said he named persons to attend mediation. Isn't that participation in the case? He said he named persons to attend trial. Isn't that involvement in the case? He said he managed the payment of legal fees. But yes, he's saying he recused himself. Well, this is a whole recusal government. I remember somebody told you tonight 210 recusals in that cabinet with Faris and Stuart Young and others. And others. He also said he spoke to the legal team on 3 separate occasions as AG. 30th March this year, 10th April this year, 14th April this year, and you say you recuse yourself. What are you talking to these lawyers for? These are the lawyers representing the people of Trinidad and Tobago in the Miami court, not representing Kwaitong and the defendants. Isn't that participation, AG Amo? He said he did logistics to bring and house witnesses from TNT for the trial. Carry up witnesses and put them in place for the trial. He said he authorized the dropping of certain claims brought by the government in the Miami court. Isn't that participation? Where is the recusal? Mr. Amo is named as a witness on the witness list for the trial. The witness list was filed 1 day before he left Trinidad and Tobago, recently when he left. He swore and made the declaration affidavit filed in the matter to oppose the application when the defenses had brought a motion for disqualification of AG Amo and the lawyers sequel law. Based on the extensive involvement of Mr. Amo in the Miami matter, the judge in the Miami court had to remind him in the judgment of the duties of lawyers in relation to former clients. Shame. Did you tell sequel law about your conflict of interest? And if so, why wasn't it raised in the court? Why you waited only until the defendants had filed a motion to push you out, take you out? Why did the defendants have to bring this to your attention of the court through the motion to disqualify? And it doesn't end there, man. This man is a liar of the highest order. And I dare him to sue me. You are a liar. Sue me. I have plenty courtrooms. Plenty courtrooms. And the UNC lawyers are brilliant lawyers, as we all know. Give them a round of applause. I congratulate Anand Ramlogan for his brilliant role in the matter relating to the injunction by foster comments with Janti. So Amma now tells us when the Bacchanal, what do you say, when the story, when it bust, the mark bust, not wait mark, when the mark bust, this is what the man comes to tell us now. He tells us in a press release dated June 4th, 2022. He said that he found out that the motion had been filed by the defendants and the lawyers, sequel law, called him on the phone to discuss the need for an affidavit in response to the motion to disqualify. However, in that same press release, he then adds something else. He tells us in the press release he left Trinidad and Tobago for a family vacation between period 12th April 22 to 1st May 22. 1st May 22. Pay attention to the date. Make a note. Note takers here, make a note. 1st May. But in that same press release for June 2022, he says then when he was still abroad, when did he return? Please remind me. Any note takers here? 1st May. He said while he was still abroad, he got a phone call from acting AG Faris, who told him that the judge in Miami had made an order disqualifying him from the case. Do you know the date of the judgment? The 2nd of May. 2nd of May 2022. So if you come back home on the 1st of May, how Faris calling you while you're still abroad? You hear lie? Lie. So he continues to lie to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. How you could still be abroad when the judgment was on the 2nd of May and you get in call and you return on the 1st of May. Are you understanding my point? Well, you understand he's lying. At least if nothing else, you understand it's a lie. He's lying. So with all these lies, all the reasons why it is imperative that we understand the rule of law and the administration of justice. The administration of justice is grounded and founded upon the truth. When you go to a court, that is why perjury laws. When you go to a court for a judge to make a finding, a proper finding, they have to depend on the truth. But when you have an AG who feels it necessary to go on penalty of perjury and lie before a court, what a shame and a scandal in Trinidad and Tobago and in the office of the Attorney General. That's what he thought. Why? Is it that he wanted to continue to eat our food? Because when he was found out, he didn't have to lie. He could have gone and said, look, this was the case. This is what happened. That way he would have had to automatically disqualify himself. But he wait for the judge to disqualify after he lied. Then we have issues of payment of fees. CEQA law. This case was brought sometime in 2004. Where are we now? 2022, is that over 20 years? Almost 20 years. Almost 20 years. Please welcome our MPs. I think they are now returning from Parliament. MP Dinesh Rambali. Some MPs and activists and friends. Thank you. We do not have the information, but we will do a freedom of information application. We only have that for 2 years, 2018, from 2018 to 2021, they have paid CEQA law a total of $13.58 million. But the case is from since when? 2004. So Saddam will file that application for us to find out the total, I'm told, is millions more dollars paid. Now that they have been disqualified from the case, all these millions have gone, been thrown away, and they have now hired new lawyers because the CEQA law was disqualified. But it's an interesting thing happened. One of the lawyers in CEQA law, I think his name is Davis, CEQA law, Mr. Davis, was in another firm, law firm. And he left that law firm to form the CEQA law. So the money they collected from before CEQA law on the name of another law firm, we will get the information and share it with you. So when today MP for Bharatarasan asked the acting Prime Minister, what about these new lawyers now? How much money have you paid to them? Because to retain a lawyer, as you know, you can't just walk in and swing your hand. You have to pay something called a retainer fee. And I'm told the new lawyers, White and Case, one of the top lawyers in the US, and MP Saddam asked them, well, how much money? Well, of course, this Prime Minister acting knows nothing. He doesn't know. And sitting next to him on his right is the present AG, and sitting to him on his left, a seat or two away, is the past AG, but he don't know. The questions are filed an hour or two before the sitting. That is the nature of Prime Minister's questions. That is what was put on the standing orders when we were there. We created that new mechanism to get information from a government through Prime Minister's questions. If you all ever have a time, you could watch the British House of Commons to see what happens in PMQ time. It is very hilarious, but it's very instructive as well. And the Prime Ministers don't get up and say, well, I don't know. They get up and they answer, because that's why you're the Prime Minister. And if you're acting, you have the same powers as Prime Minister to ask the AG.
You used to answer every question.
I used to answer every question. You know why? That was my job. That was my job. Every Prime Minister's questions day. Because what I will do, we had a little team, and when the questions were filed in the Parliament, we had 1 hour to get the answers for those questions. But that's not happening with these people. And again, what we will do is file a freedom of application, freedom of information application to get the information to share with you. So we must thank a fellow named Ramesh Maharaj. I never thought I would have to do that, but I will do it today. Because Ramesh, and we were part of that government, the Pandey government, 95 onwards. 2 pieces of law that we did. There were other brilliant pieces of law, but one was the Freedom of Information Act, which allows an ordinary citizen to apply for and get information on the running of the government, on their policies and their strategies. And the other one was the Judicial Review Act, which allows us to review, to go to court to review the actions of the executive of the government. So if we file the Freedom of Information application and they refuse to answer, the next step is to go for judicial review of their failure to answer. And we've been getting a lot of information because of that. So I want to move on, but still on this AG. We are now plunged into a constitutional crisis because of the actions of AMO. According to the Miami court, he cannot continue to represent Trinidad and Tobago. The Code of Ethics in the Legal Profession Act also prevents an AG from acting adverse to the interests of former clients, which we mentioned before. The Code of Ethics tells us very clearly, an attorney-at-law shall withdraw forthwith from employment or from a matter pending before a tribunal where his continued employment will involve him in the violation of the law or a disciplinary rule. He has clearly violated that rule of law. Where the client by any other conduct renders it unreasonably difficult for that lawyer to carry out his employment as such, or in accordance with judgment and advice of the attorney-at-law or the rules of law or professional ethics. So here we have the Attorney General in breach of the professional code of ethics, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but also in the Florida court in the state of Florida. And then now we have this strange matter happening. This is why I say we are in a constitutional crisis, where the Attorney General has been disqualified from being in the matter in the Miami court. This is a serious matter, and I'll share it with you. During Prime Minister's question time today, MP for Barataria again asked the acting Prime Minister, what authority, what legal authority is the Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, that's the bush lawyer, the fellow just turned bush lawyer, cutting bush all over Trinidad and Tobago. What legal authority is Faris acting as a client representative for TNT after AG Amo was disqualified in the Miami case? What did acting Prime Minister Imbert say? He said that Faris can act as a client representative in the Miami matter on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago under sections 76, 78, and 79 of the Constitution. You hear lie? That is lie. There is no provision for a minister other than the Attorney General to prosecute civil matters or defend civil matters on behalf of the government of Trinidad and Tobago, no other minister except the Attorney General. The sections are very clear. The AG 76(2) shall be responsible for the administration of legal affairs in TNT, and listen to this, legal proceedings for and against the state shall be taken in the case of civil proceedings in the name of the Attorney General. What is the bush lawyer doing in this case? Minister of Rural and Local, whatever. What is he doing there? What legal authority is there? Imbert tells us 76, that's what 76 tells us, is the AG is responsible for all legal matters, civil proceedings for and against the state. Section 78 says, for the performance of functions of acting Prime Minister during absence of the substantive Prime Minister, then you can appoint someone else. Section 79 provides the Prime Minister can allocate portfolios to ministers for the business of government, including the functions of the AG as set out as I just read. When the Prime Minister allocates or assigns portfolios to any minister, it is published in the Trinidad and Tobago Gazette. When Al-Rawi was removed as AG, appointed as Rural Development Minister, his responsibilities were gazetted, 22 March 22. And Mr. Amo, his responsibilities were also gazetted. When you read the Gazette, Al-Rawi was not allocated any portfolio under the office of the AG. Amo was allocated a full portfolio of the office of the AG. So there is nothing in law that Amo has power authority to appoint Faris to act as client representative. There's nothing in the law. And you know, we point this out to them and they come and they lie again and they lie again. That's why I'm spending the time so you will understand what is happening at the highest offices of the land. The acting Prime Minister today was unable to tell us if any reallocation or reassignment of the AG's portfolio was made to give Al-Rawi power and legal authority to manage these proceedings. Mr. Amo, in his affidavit, April 24, said Rawi was appointed as client rep for TNT. For Al-Rawi to act legally in a Miami matter, he must be given the responsibilities of the AG. according to our constitution. So we have a constitutional conundrum. You take it away from Rawi, and what are you going to do? Give him back? That is how this government operates, by VAPs. They do not do due diligence. They don't check out what they're doing. In these same sections of the Constitution, the AG's portfolio was made to give Arawi power and legal authority to manage legal proceedings in the Miami matter. No, never done. If you could answer that, show us the reassignment. And then when you do that reassignment, Prime Minister, you will still be acting illegally, because the Constitution says all civil proceedings must be in the name of the Attorney General. It doesn't say it must be in the name of another minister who gets that portfolio or that part of the portfolio. So if there's no reassignment, there's no reallocation, then Faris is acting on your behalf illegally, further complicating this matter, further complicating it. So tonight, I want to call on the U.S. law enforcement authorities. I want to call on them. When the acting prime minister was asked today by Saddam whether U.S. law enforcement authorities have launched an investigation into the AG, Amo, in relation to his perjury in this affidavit in the Miami court, he told us he doesn't know. But he doesn't know. I never know anything. Everything we asked him to, he doesn't know. He's not aware. He doesn't know and will not take the time to find out. So tonight, on your behalf, I call on the U.S. authorities to investigate whether Reggie Amor committed the felony of perjury when he lied in his declaration before the Miami court. Must be an investigation. And I also call on the Law Association. Why are you all so quiet? Where is the mighty Law Association? They get pip. Where are you? I call on you to add your voices. This is a very serious matter for the legal fraternity in Trinidad and Tobago, and as I said, for the rule of law and for the administration of justice. And so the constitutional crisis involving the AG reminds me of something from V.S. Naipaul. I'll quote for you. A government that can break its own laws can also easily break you. A government that can break its own laws can also easily break you. And that is what this rowdy government has been doing for the past 7 years. They keep breaking the law of our land, and in doing so, they're attempting to break the spirit of people of TNT. And this is where Anil, your 47 breaches that you talked about tonight, showing an absolutely corrupt and incompetent government. It is no coincidence that Keith Rowley has now prolonged his taxpayer-funded time in Los Angeles. No coincidence. There are two things. He doesn't want to come back home to face this issue. He doesn't want to come back home with the unions in uproar. Doesn't want to come back home at this time with the crime skyrocketing, and of course the joblessness, the pandemic of joblessness in the land. And so what is he doing? Hiding up in California. But that is one explanation, but there might be another one. Isn't the company, they say, going to buy the refinery or lease the refinery? Some electricians from California? I don't know, I'm just asking for a friend. The electricians in California.
Looking for the office too?
Yeah, probably looking for this office which is in somebody's house. So I don't know if this stretch out of his vacation or whatever it is he's doing up there has anything to do with this California company and the sale or lease of our Guadalcanal refinery. That's a serious matter. And we will ask him that, because he might think we don't know. But there are always ways. You have eyes and ears everywhere. There are ways to find out. And on top of that, how long? They said for weeks. He's undergoing routine tests for weeks. For weeks. That's what the press release said, huh? How come you have to stay for weeks for routine tests? At taxpayers' expense, isn't it the law, the practice, the convention, that if those tests are available in Trinidad and Tobago, where you, Prime Minister, said that we have the best healthcare system in the Commonwealth, remember that? How come you're not doing these routine tests in Trinidad and Tobago? What is it in California? As I say, Might be the electrical company that he's speaking with. So they keep breaking the law, attempting to break the will of the people. He says this health check, as I say, we know he said it. You all remember when he said, we have the best healthcare in the Commonwealth. 52 or 53 nations, we have the best. You hear a lie? Another lie. Another one. I want you to remember that the person at fault with this fiasco here with Amo is none other than Keith Christopher Rowley. Did he ask him? Did he check? Do he do due diligence? No. And that is an indictment on his failed leadership. This latest spectacular debacle is part of a pattern of incompetence stretching back from when they came into office in 2015. I remind you again, a government that can break its own laws can so easily break you. That's what they've been doing for 7 years. So as I close tonight, I want to again call on the PNM pedophile national movement, which up to today, as Barry told us, they have failed to protect our children. Crying crocodile tears about the Sabga report and so on, when you have done nothing to protect our children. When we look at what is happening in our beloved country today, it can be difficult to hope for better. But I believe that you deserve better, and you will get better. We must defend the rule of law against this wicked government. The PNM will never break the people of Trinidad and Tobago, no matter how hard they try. We are stronger than them. I know that we have the strength and resilience to forge ahead and tackle the problems facing us. And as you know, as Anil will tell you, we have the track record. We've been there, we've done that. We created the jobs. We looked after our children education sector. We took off the VAT of the food. We gave the laptops. There's so many things. If we start to talk about achievements, we'll be here all night, all day, and for a week. So we have a track record. And I ask you to remember that and do not get disheartened, because we will continue to have the vision, to follow a mission, to make life better for all the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We will see brighter days and have a better quality of life. I commend Saddam for filing a motion of no confidence in Reggie Amo. And I'm told that Senator Mark will do the same thing in the Senate. And I tell Mr. Reginald Amo, every time you stand up in that parliament to speak, we will not sit to listen to you. We refuse to sit in that parliament, because we have absolutely no confidence in this AG of Trinidad and Tobago. May God bless you. Keep strong and go safe. Thank you very much.